Sometimes a single meant to build buzz for a new era starts a downward spiral of commercial struggle for the artist. In this video, we'll look at 10 singles that started flop eras. Team by Iggy Azalea. After the huge success of her 2014 breakout era, where Fancy topped the Billboard Hot 100 for 7 weeks and Black Widow reached the top 5, Iggy Azalea was named the biggest new artist of the year. Her debut album, The New Classic, earned her 4 Grammy nominations and made her one of the most talked about names in pop and rap. But after a string of controversies, the public was starting to turn on her. So, when Team dropped in 2016 as the lead single for her second album, Digital Distortion, expectations were high. However, it never lived up to the hype. Despite a big rollout, including a high-budget music video and a performance on The Tonight Show, the single debuted at number 92 on the Billboard Hot 100 and peaked at a modest number 42. In comparison to her previous string of top 10 hits, it was a big drop. Even with a catchy chorus, it didn't quite stick, like a lead single should. The commercial underperformance of the song derailed the Digital Distortion era, which ended up being cancelled entirely. Iggy attempted to rebound with new singles like Mo Bounce and Switch, but they did even worse, and Iggy parted ways with Def Jam. While she later independently released In My Defense in 2019, it failed to make an impact on the charts. In hindsight, Team was the start of a long flop era. LA Love by Fergie. After an 8-year hiatus from solo music, following her 2006 smash debut The Duchess, Fergie attempted a major comeback in late 2014 with LA Love La La. Her first album produced 3 #1 hits on the Billboard Hot 100, and she dominated the late 2000s with her group The Black Eyed Peas. LA Love was trying to capitalize on that West Coast club sound that was popping at the time, and produced by DJ Mustard, it was meant to be the lead single for her long-awaited second album, but the buzz was never really there. Despite a flashy music video and a remix featuring YG, LA Love peaked at a modest number 27 on the Billboard Hot 100, which was decent, but a disappointing performance by her standards. The song failed to dominate radio like she expected. She used every gimmick to make it successful, but it didn't work. The follow-up singles kept getting delayed, failing to kickstart her new era. By the time Double Duchess was finally released in 2017, nearly 3 years after LA Love, the hype was dead. The album debuted at number 19 on the Billboard 200, selling 21,000 units in its first week, and quickly vanished from the charts. Fergie's comeback never fully recovered, as LA Love started the end of her reign as a pop heavyweight. Don't Go Yet by Camila Cabello. After the massive success of her 2019 hit Señorita with Shawn Mendes and a #1 debut album, Camila Cabello was being set up to dominate the 2020s. But when she launched her third album era with Don't Go Yet in July 2021, things started to unravel. Inspired by her Cuban heritage, the song marked a shift in sound. She took a risk, and the public reaction was lukewarm. Despite being promoted well, Don't Go Yet peaked at number 42 on the Billboard Hot 100, her lowest charting lead single to date. Part of the problem was timing. The song was released to accompany her film Cinderella, which got bad reviews, and the song was overshadowed. Critics liked the risk-taking, but it lacked the punch, especially compared to her previous hits like Havana and My Oh My. When the album Familia arrived in April 2022, it failed to turn things around, debuting at number 10 on the Billboard 200. It marked her lowest charting album, and none of its singles cracked the top 10. Projects received solid critical reviews, but it was largely ignored by the general public. In hindsight, Don't Go Yet set the tone for an era that struggled to connect and derailed a new chapter of her career. Azalea Papi by Jennifer Lopez. After a stint on American Idol and her greatest hits compilation Dance Again The Hits, fans were waiting for Jennifer Lopez's next studio album, but Azalea Papi, the lead single from her 2014 album AKA, was a disappointment. The song, featuring French Montana, attempted to use that repetitive chorus which was popping at the time. The music video, intended as a reverse of a typical rap video, generated more conversation than the song itself. Commercially, Azalea Papi failed to impress. It peaked at number 77 on the Billboard Hot 100, which was weak, especially for a lead single by a global superstar. Despite a high-profile promotional campaign and a viral Vine meme based on the song's title, it didn't quite translate to chart performance. Radio wasn't interested, and even J-Lo's core fan base didn't like it. It started the album aka on a wrong note. The album debuted on number 8 on the Billboard 200 with first week sales of 33,000 copies and quickly fell off the charts. It became her lowest selling album in the US at the time. Jennifer never fully recovered from the flop, and Azalea Papi was the single that started the nosedive. Chained to the Rhythm by Katy Perry. Coming off the massive success of Teenage Dream and Prism, Katy Perry was one of the most consistent hitmakers of the early 2010s, so when she launched her Witness era with Chained to the Rhythm, expectations were high. The song had all the ingredients: a catchy disco pop beat, socially conscious lyrics, and even a guest verse from a Marley. Despite debuting on number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, the single quickly lost momentum, a rare miss for Katy at the time, and its chart run was pretty short, from a lead single from a pop star at the peak of her powers. The bigger issue was that the song set the tone for an album that confused listeners and alienated casual fans. Witness had mixed reviews, and Katy's attempt to shift into woke music didn't land. Fans expected her to continue in that fun direction. The next singles like Bon Appetit and Swish Swish underperformed, peaking on number 59 and 46 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was a shocking fall for an artist who once had 5 #1 singles from one album. Witness debuted on number 1 on the Billboard 200 with 180,000 album equivalent units, far less than Prism's 286,000. It was clear, Chained to the Rhythm marked the end of Katy's reign as a chart-dominating force. It started a flop era that has lasted for a long time. Filthy by Justin Timberlake. After a 5-year hiatus, following the massive success of the 2020 experience, Justin Timberlake returned in 2018 with Filthy, the lead single from Man of the Woods. JT had delivered some of the biggest hits of the 2000s and 2010s and was about to headline the Super Bowl halftime show. Filthy, however, was a confusing reintroduction, combining industrial sound with Silicon Valley aesthetics. It received mixed reactions. Though it debuted on number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100, mostly fueled by the hype, it plummeted to number 25 in its second week and disappeared from the charts in quick time. It didn't start off the Man of the Woods era on a good note. The album was teased as Timberlake going back to his roots, blending country, Americana, and pop, but Filthy sounded nothing like that. Other singles like Supplies and Say Something had modest success, but failed to generate momentum. Man of the Woods debuted on number 1 with 293,000 units and fell rapidly down the charts, leaving no lasting impact. By comparison, the 2020 experience moved 968,000 units in its first week. Filthy was the lead single to Timberlake's most underwhelming era. Run the World Girls by Beyonce. Coming off the global dominance of I Am Sasha Fierce, Beyonce was expected to deliver another era of chart toppers. So when she returned in 2011 with Run the World Girls, fans were expecting an anthem. What they got instead was a hard-hitting song built around a sample of Major Laser's Pon de Floor. While the message of female empowerment was loud and clear, the song's abrasive production divided listeners. You either love it or hate it. Despite Beyonce's star power, Run the World struggled on the charts. It peaked at number 29 on the Billboard Hot 100, a low performance by her standards. Though the accompanying music video was bold and visually stunning, it wasn't enough to rescue the song. It was the lead single to Beyonce's 4th album 4, which underperformed. The era got off to a rocky start, and the album flopped. It had some of Beyonce's best songs like Love on Top and Dance for You, but Run the World marked the beginning of a short flop era. Not Myself Tonight by Christina Aguilera. After reinventing herself with Back to Basics, Christina Aguilera returned in 2010 with Not Myself Tonight, an electropop single intended to fit into the sound that was popping at the time. It was the lead single to her album Bionic, and it leaned heavily into the style of artists like Lady Gaga, who had taken over the charts by that point. Unfortunately for Christina, the reception was mixed. Not Myself Tonight peaked on number 23 on the Billboard Hot 100, and while it performed better on the dance charts, it failed to make a major impact. The video, filled with BDSM imagery, felt like Christina was chasing shock value. Bionic ultimately suffered from this rocky start. Despite debuting on number 3 on the Billboard 200, the album dropped quickly, and it became one of the most underperforming records of her career. In recent years, fans have been revisiting it and giving it its flowers. But at that time, it was a major flop. It all started with the polarizing single Not Myself Tonight. Manos Aire by Nelly Furtado. Coming off the massive success of her Loose era, which spawned global #1 hits like Promiscuous and Say It Right, Nelly Furtado had the pop world in a palm of her hand. So when she pivoted into a fully Spanish language album, Mi Plan, she killed her momentum. Manos Aire was released as the lead single from the album, intended to bridge her mainstream appeal with the Latin market. The song itself performed modestly. It did well on the Billboard Latin Pop Airplay charts, but it completely missed the Billboard Hot 100. The lack of crossover appeal and the sudden genre switch left many of her pop fans confused. Though Mi Plan went platinum in some Latin American countries and won a Latin Grammy, it marked the beginning of Nelly's commercial decline in the global pop scene. Her next English language album, The Spirit Indestructible in 2012, flopped commercially, and in hindsight, Manos Aire was the start of a long flop era. Late to the Party, Fuck BET by Lil Nas X. After breaking through with the record-breaking Old Town Road in 2019, Lil Nas X was able to maintain the momentum with his debut album Montero, which made him a verified pop superstar. With back-to-back #1 hits, Montero, Call Me By Your Name, and Industry Baby, all eyes were on what he would do next. However, in mid-2022, instead of following up with another banger, he dropped Late to the Party, Fuck BET, a protest song directed at the BET Awards for allegedly snubbing him because of his sexuality. Featuring a verse from NBA YoungBoy, it was a confusing song. Despite its headline-grabbing title, it only peaked at number 78 on the Billboard Hot 100 and failed to generate much momentum. Unlike his earlier releases, with catchy melodies and layered production, Late to the Party felt like a step back. What followed was a dip in Lil Nas X's career. His 2023 and 2024 singles, like Star Walking and J Christ, failed to crack the top 40, signaling a clear drop in impact. While he remains a cultural figure, he is struggling to find a hit for his upcoming studio album Dream Boy, and he is currently in his flop era. Which singles that started flop eras did I miss? Tell me in the comments below.